What's up, man? I'm Ngiadam. Welcome back to the channel. So for today's video, I'm gonna compare Missoni Wave versus Chanel Allure Homme Sport. Hopefully you guys can see that. So in order to test it, I have to apply both on my hands. So I'm gonna apply Chanel Allure Homme Sport on my right hand, my dominant hand, and then the one that's most similar on my left hand. I already have the dry down on here, but I'm gonna spray it again just so they can be fair and I can smell both, so I can have a great sense of how close or how different each of these fragrances are to each other. I'm gonna open Chanel Allure Homme Sport and put it on my right hand, so you will see that now. Okay, lathering it. Wow, okay, this is interesting. Very interesting. The top different. I smell the similarities. It's gonna slip on I have to say, the Chanel smells way smoother. You know the quality is different. This smells way higher class. The citrus opening from the Chanel, it gives me a mandarin vibe, but also like a bit of a sharp citrus, but not orange citrus, like a lemon citrus. Because of that lemon opening, like the lemon citrus that I smell from it, it reminds me of Versace Pour Homme. But straight after, I just get tonka bean. And it's like there's nothing else. It's really interesting. There's a slight aquaticness in here, but it's very smooth. It's not super mineral salty. And now I can also tell why it is very similar to Missoni Wave, but it's not the same. Now I'm gonna spray Missoni Wave on my left hand. Wow. Alright, so when it comes to the opening, they're very close, almost I would say a tie, but I give a bit of an edge to Missoni Wave because it's stronger, but also the Vanilla Orchid is stronger in the opening. You can smell it right away. And the way the citrus comes in with the aquaticness is a bit more smooth because there's no harsh like lemon smell. And that's the same type of smell that I got also initially when I smelled Versace Pour Homme. But Versace Pour Homme is more synthetic. It's very synthetic in the opening. And that's something that threw me off and made me feel a bit nauseous. So the similarities comes in when they both dry down or in their mid to dry down because of a similar way that they play with the notes that they have. So Chanel Allure Homme Sport plays off the citrus with some tonka bean. It might have a bit of mint, but I'm not too sure because I'm not picking it up. But it's like a slight greenness, but it's very fresh. And then it's becoming smooth and tame because of that tonka bean. Some type of floral inside of it that I'm not too sure. But the tonka bean or whatever sweetness that they added in here is very tame. It's not strong, but it helps the fragrance not be overpowering with the citrus. It kind of makes it have a balance. Missoni Wave starts off with a nice mandarin. So the mandarin here is juicy and there's no like synthetic harsh lemon scent in the top. And then it slightly becomes a bit green, lavendery, which is something that I can pick up with a bit of geranium. And then you get a lot of florals from like the vanilla orchid, a bit of patchouli that makes it have a bit more strength in terms of performance compared to Chanel Allure Homme Sport. Chanel, when it dries down, it's super smooth and you can smell almost everything blended together very well. The Chanel Allure Homme Sport is less floral, less dominant in terms of like citruses, but it's fresh still. So the main difference that you can get between the two is that Chanel Allure Homme Sport is good for fresh and clean smelling. You know, it smells like a man's fragrance for someone who likes something sporty, fresh, but not too citrusy and not too ambroxany, if that makes any sense. Tonka bean or whatever floral that they have is in here, but it's light. And this fragrance is something that's tame. If you're not someone who likes something too crazy, you'll like the Chanel. And the Chanel is a Chanel after all. And you can smell from the beginning to the end the craftsmanship. You don't smell that bitter alcohol blast that you get in different fragrances that are cheaper. Now, when it comes to Missoni Wave, there's more citrus from mandarin, but also it's more aquatic than Allure Homme Sport. You smell more of the aquaticness, but because of the other notes in here, like the lavender, the geranium, and the vanilla orchid, it's very smooth and it mimics some sort of tonka bean-ness, but it's not really tonka bean. It's like a vanilla and floral notes, and it gives you that powdery, dusty feel that you get from tonka bean without the sweetness and a bit nuttiness-ish that you get from tonka bean, like the really dirty dustiness that you get from tonka bean. You get less of that because of the florals that make it a bit more powdery and make it more airy, more ozonic freshness. Okay, so what do I think about both? I feel like Missoni Wave is an inspiration of Chanel Allure Homme Sport, but they made it their own by adding more florals, more aquaticness, as well as adding more greenness to make it more round and more performing. But I have to say, they smell really close. I think they smell like between 85 to 90% similar. And I think honestly, if somebody was to wear Missoni Wave, somebody could definitely mistake it for Chanel Allure Homme Sport. I think it's that close. Now that I smell both, I definitely think that Missoni Wave is either an inspiration or a clone of Chanel Allure Homme Sport and not Au Extrême. And Versace Pour Homme is similar to Chanel Allure Homme Sport, but it makes it different by having no real white florals. And if it does, it's very minute and more dominant on the citrus, bitter lemon smell and musk instead of having tonka bean that makes it more sweet and powdery. And then Missoni Wave is like in the middle because it has a good dose of citruses, and because of that, it's smelling really fresh, as well with the notes that you get from the C notes. The C notes that it has here is also dominant, but it's not a C note that's very dominant on the salty marine accords, or I should say the mineral accord, but it's more smooth. It's not super salty. I think it might be a bit more mineral than salty like you get on Versace Pour Homme. So similarity wise, it's very similar. And because of how similar it is, I cannot recommend you to get Chanel Allure Homme Sport because it does not smell like it would perform. It smells really nice, smells expensive, but I rather go for Missoni Wave because Missoni Wave performs better. And you get similarities, but you don't get tonka bean, you get vanilla orchid, and the vanilla orchid smells better in my opinion because you can actually smell it. So similarity wise, 85 to 90%. Definitely Missoni took a bit more than just a few notes on Chanel Allure Homme Sport. I think it's a more modernized, powerful version of that fragrance. It's as if you were to say like La Nuit de l'Homme and La Nuit de l'Homme Bleu Électrique. Similar, but slightly different, except that Bleu Électrique is a bit more different than La Nuit de l'Homme in comparison to Missoni Wave and Chanel Allure Homme Sport, because Missoni Wave is more similar to Chanel Allure Homme Sport in comparison to La Nuit de l'Homme original and Bleu Électrique, especially when it comes to like the changes, because in here you can tell that they're not supposed to be so different. But Bleu Électrique is a fresher take, a more versatile take on the original. This is just the parallel that I added. If you want Chanel Allure Homme Sport for cheaper with better performance, then you definitely have to go for Missoni Wave instead of the Chanel because it doesn't make sense to pay that much more. If you want Chanel because of the brand, then go for Chanel. But maybe not Homme Sport, but Au Extrême is even better, more sweet, and you'll get more compliments. But if you want something that's more aquatic, more fresh, but you still want a bit of that sweetness, Missoni Wave is the most well-rounded of the two, and it's a no-brainer. So, is it similar to Chanel Allure Homme Sport? Very similar, definitely inspired, almost borderline clone. Technically, you can even say it's a clone, I would say. Is it better than the original? In my opinion, price, yes. Performance, yes. When it comes to smell, it's almost the same. I would say it's just a little bit more synthetic than the Chanel. It's very similar in terms of smell, but also they have the same purpose and they fulfill the same role quite effectively, almost the same. So is it the same? Yes, it's the same. You should definitely try both if you want, but if you had to get one and if I had to buy one, I would definitely go for Missoni Wave. Missoni Wave is the winner in my books. Metal cap, amazing. Smells like it performs better. and it's cheaper. Does basically the same function. Main difference, this is more green than Allure Homme Sport. This is more aquatic, but not in a salty way. I like the mandarin in here, and this has vanilla orchid instead of tonka bean. Similar powderiness, but this is more floral, and you can smell vanilla. The other one is tonka bean, it's more dusty, but also powdery. 85 to 90% similarity. If you enjoyed the video, like, comment down below, and subscribe. And let me know what other type of clones and bottles and fragrances you want me to try and talk about, because I will spend my money. I spend too much on this hobby, but I love it too much, and it's just fun. Like Patrice Evra says, I love this game. I love this game. So have a great day, night, and evening. Take care.